I did want to touch on a little bit of that. You talked about your early on influences and being influences by greats like Quincy Jones and this. Coming back to do a new record, you know, I've been listening to some of the stuff, and for a song like Hendrix, you go and listen to that, and there's some very new, very modern sonic stuff. A piece that leaps to mind is sort of the El Chapo portion, kind of being a little on the designer-esque kind of repetition vibe and the sonic evolution. Was that a conscious decision to look around at the landscape and say like, okay, this is how I can bridge that gap? Because it's still very, you know, island and world music as well. Or was that just the nature of these are the influences that are around you, sort of passive influence?
Great question. So the answer to that is blues gets translated into what? It starts off as blues, right? We go into jazz, we go into bebop. What we do is we adjust the cadence. So designer's a cadence. So that's a cadence, right? So, but that's a cadence, right? So as someone who creates music, every time has a cadence. And the cadence is the way of communication, right? So the 90s cadence was like this, woodpecker. That was just the cadence, like, and people were like, yo, why is it gonna break your neck? You're like this, right? And then so the beat was going this way. So now my daughter, they cadenced is like this. Right? Now, so it's very important because what I'm doing is, so mathematically, I'm adjusting to a cadence because the cadence is what determines if you get the pulse or you don't get the pulse, right? So even like in Jay-Z in the Tom Ford song, you'll see he take 4 bars and go, and then he go back to Jay-Z. It's like, okay, I get. The problem is now if you don't understand the cadence, right? So if we go from blues to bebop to jazz to R&B, there's still cadences that we have to incorporate. So it's important to understand that. Now, the bad part about it is if you don't understand that, and like you heard Clef, and I was like, El Chavo, nigga, El Chavo, pop, nigga, here, Chavo. You'd be like, what the fuck happened to my Clef?
And that happened. So I was getting calls, and people were like, oh, Wyclef's doing trap music now? And so instead of getting defensive, I said, no, he's doing acoustic trap music now. Those same people are calling about the streaming numbers of Hendrix.
Yeah. Well, it does accomplish the goal of bringing a very unique style of music.
But communication is key.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to do music for my daughter, it's up to who you want to do music for, right? So I say, okay, I want to reach out to now a new generation. So if you're doing that, you have to know the lingo, you have to know the language, you have to know every form of word, or you could just be like, okay, and I learned this being in the studio with Michael Jackson and understanding like the pulse is always with the child. Once you lose that pulse of the child, I don't care if it's technology, music, movies, we could go back to books 2,000 years ago that we will read, our kids will read. Why? Because it's written from that innocence. So whenever it's time to do that, you have to at least understand all of the cadence, right, of that we're dealing with.
Yeah, like a foreigner in a foreign land. You, at least hello, thank you, and maybe how to order a beer.
Yeah, and you got to know how to trip. And you know what's funny is, so when I'm going like, you know, like jack on the buck on the buck on the top of the bottom, maybe it's in the trouble, the top of electricity, can give you a shock and stuff, you know? And then my daughter's like, Dad, I love that flow. That sound like the Migos. and it's funny though, you see? The cadence sound like the Migos to her, but that's speed rapping that we did like in the late 80s. Yeah. But you see what I'm saying? But to her, she's Migos introduced it to her. You know, then I have to show her Migos saying, I be going to November on that Wyclef Kush. And she said, oh, okay, Dad, I see. You know, but it's cool though, right? It shows you, but think about it. So I'm doing a flow, like speed rapping, and now this same flow comes back. Once again, it's that cadence and being able to adjust to the cadence. Always remember, the song is the song. If you write an incredible song, it's the song. Now, to adjust, all you do is adjust to the song, is you adjust the sonics of the time. The sun will always be the sun, right? the moon will always be the moon. But we humans, right? The sun was out in the Egyptian times, but they didn't have Google, right? Or maybe they did, right? So in a different form, I don't know. But what we did was we adjust, right? As we humans, we adjust. So the songs, the moons, that's the sun. And we as humans, we adjust to the cadence. But we don't sacrifice the sun for nothing, you know?
Yeah.